Hey everyone, this is Real Estate Riches Podcast, and boy, is it going to be rich, full of the wealth and the tips and the tricks of all kinds of successful agents, because that's what you want to be, right? A business builder who has success in their business. Well, that's what we got going on here. And I'm going to have all kinds of agents, men, women, young or older, sharing all their stuff because there's technology, there's just how do you build your business? There's so many questions, right? So let's learn from some of the best. Gather your wealth and build your business. That's what this channel is all about. And I'm excited to bring it to you. I'm Kathy Byrnes and I'll be your host. And stay tuned. Let's get at it, right? Hey, everybody. This is Kathy Byrnes with Real Estate Riches. And today I'm here with Nicole Hajdu. I love that last name. Nicole?
Thank you. Hi, Kathy. I appreciate this. Appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Oh, it's great. My pleasure. So excited because I think we have a similar story. I was doing a little homework on you. You're a realtor in the Chicago area. You want to
Yes,
tell us a little bit about your story and like who you are, where you are right now, and then maybe tell us how you got here.
sure. So I'm in Chicago, actually a little one block outside the city in Park
Mm,
Ridge. I live here, moved here 4 years ago, but born and raised in Chicago. And I have a small team, work for Dreamtown Realty. So I hold my license there, but I do have a small team and I work with some fabulous people that have been working with me for a few years now and have a fabulous assistant, stager on my team, and
mm.
continuing to grow and add services and can be a one-stop shop. So
Yeah,
that's where I'm at now.
that's important because, and it takes a while to get there, right? I mean, it sure
Yeah,
did for me.
decade
And
at
I'm
least.
anxious to, I'm anxious to hear your story of starting in real estate going forward because so many agents, my mission is really to kind of help agents that are the 40 plus age group because a lot of people, especially with this whole NAR thing going on, they're freaking out. Many just want to just walk away. And I said, no, it's all fixable. It's all figure outable. But people panic because change is tough. And especially if you start life over in the middle of your life, like the spectrum of what your life would be. So tell us your story of like how you got into real estate and how it was a huge success right off the bat, or tell the truth.
Not really right off the bat. It took a
Yeah.
few years, but I got into real estate 2007. So when everyone was getting out of real estate, I was getting into it. I got into it because my dad, who owned a commercial plumbing company that's been in the family since 1929, he was pretty established. My mom had her own business too, so lived that lifestyle for a long time just by being in the house with them and getting to be able to work for him. Old school
Mm,
Sicilian put me to work at 11 years old. So I was working for him very early, doing payroll and getting to see what the business side of life was like. So he's the one who told me, hey, get your real estate license. I already had college education. I was studying creative writing and photography in college. Started with some different majors and ended up in that. And then worked in corporate for 10 years and worked for a remodeling company for another about a decade. So I had that experience. And then my dad said, you know what, you should definitely go into real estate and get your license. I did that a year before he passed away. And I got into it the year that everybody was getting out during the crash, where it was very hard to find sellers and very hard to find qualified buyers.
mm,
So it was an interesting baptism by fire type of couple of years. And you learned really quick to get in, to just learn, to get in there and do not really podcasts at the time, but more so classes. I was taking classes and reading books
yes.
and
Yeah.
figuring out, okay, what do I need to do? What do I need to know to be successful at this? And put all the experience I've had in the past into this career, into this profession, and be really great at it. Because I worked in advertising before, print production and TV production. So I said, okay, this is perfect. I can still be creative and still own a
Mhm.
business and do something that I really love that can bring some creative pieces of my past in. And that's
Yes.
how I got started.
You know what I heard there? I love your dad right off the bat because he started doing the business at 11. My kids were out there we were doing yard sales when they were like 6. I said I was raising little entrepreneurs, which is what he was doing. And he was teaching you a work ethic, and he was teaching you how to figure things out. You know what I mean? So if you're in the trenches of a business and it wasn't something you chose to necessarily go do, Dad just probably said, "Hey, get in here. We're a family. We're going to just do this together."
That's
And
exactly what happened.
and it was a blessing. That was a gift that he did because it built a work ethic in you. So I got in 2006, the year before it all crashed. So I was watching it go up, and my background was financial planning. And I kept thinking, something's really wrong here. It didn't make sense the way it rocketed, the way anybody could get a loan. And then it did make sense when it went down. But I had just started in six in a new state, didn't know anybody but one person. So just like you have to figure it out. And that's the grit that's so important, especially in this situation we're in right now with NAR. It's not like it's not something we can't figure out. It is. And it's not even that big a deal. It's just being perpetrated as that big a deal. It's just about presenting ourselves different and our worth, and educating the public, I think, is a really big deal too, because they're misunderstanding what a realtor really does. Don't you think?
Oh, definitely. I think a lot of people have a misconception of what we do.
Yep.
This.
Yes.
It's, we're not just opening doors. There are some, yeah, that do that. And those are the ones that usually after the first year decide not to do this anymore because they realize it's a lot more than that.
Mhm.
I've hired people too. I have young people on my team that have said, Nicole, this is very hard to make a living at and be consistent and have a consistent form of income from. So they decided to go into like corporate law or something different and kind of steer away from real estate, especially with all the changes being made right now. So
Mhm.
but every year in real estate, and I'm sure you see this too, like it's always different. Every year is always different. It's always a challenge. Every end of the year, you look back, and I know I do this, and a lot of people in my team, and then throughout the industry, business plan. And I teach a business planning class twice a year. I actually got my coaching certificate and coach other agents right now too. But
Love it.
you realize like when things kind of shift and you're not shifting with it, and then you can't analyze what you've done in the past to see what works and what doesn't work. It's very
Hmm.
hard to make that shift because you don't know what direction to head in. So it's very
It's
important to do the business planning. And if you kind of see what your successes have been over the years and know that you can handle this change because you've handled all those changes before over the years, like over the last,
right.
since we've been in it and seen this, gosh, and like you were saying, I didn't start this until my 30s full
Hmm.
time. So
Hmm.
late 30s full time. That's a little bit, now I look back going, oh my gosh, I like quit my job and had two small kids under 3 and decided
See,
to do this full time. Like
it's
what
gutsy.
thinking? Like, how did I do that? How did I
Yeah.
make do that? And I know a lot of people have done that too. They've quit their jobs and gone into real estate full time. And it's usually with a sales background. Those people are usually very, very successful who have a sales background because they can just pick up and move and go and be motivated. And like what you're saying, have that grit because it
Grit.
does take a lot of grit
Hmm.
to really analyze yourself and see, okay, is this something I can maneuver through? Can I prove myself to other people? Can I educate other people about what we do and really inform also the public about
Right.
some of these misconceptions? Because the media likes to just inflate things and blow them up. And I've had so many people ask me, what's going on? So
Yes.
yeah, obviously right now, nothing's changing until July. And,
Right.
we're not going to see co-op on the MLS, but and commission has always been able to negotiate it. I think we have to be a little bit more transparent about it and talk about it a little bit more because it can be a touchy subject. But
Hmm.
if we show our value and we have experience and
Hmm.
we have a plan, it's
Yeah.
you find your ideal client and the people who are willing to pay for your services, just like a dentist, a doctor,
Yes.
a tutor. I've done my landscaping for years. I don't want to do it anymore. So I hired somebody to do it. Can I do it? Sure. But do I want
Yeah.
to have it done well and know what flowers to get and when to plant them so they don't die, so I don't screw things up? Sure. Because sometimes that can cost $10,000 to do a nice front yard. And
And
I
you're
think
never going to do it like they did it.
I'll never do it because I don't know. I don't have that type of education. I haven't spent that many
Yeah,
years in the field knowing about these different plants. I mean, it's the same thing for any profession. And that's what I
right,
don't understand is that every profession, every person who is working and should end up being an expert in their field and be able to provide value as well. And none of us are on their tails about it, right?
right.
So,
I
I
totally agree with that.
should mind their
Um,
own business and
yeah,
it'll kind of sort itself out, which I think what you're saying, Kathy, it will sort itself out. It just takes time. We just don't know exactly what we're dealing with yet. But as
mhm.
agents and brokers, we need to educate the public. We need to step it up. We need to be transparent, more transparent than ever before, and give our clients choices and
I think
options.
I think right now it's very important till July. We need to really be educating the public on exactly what we do. What does a buyer's agent do? I think listing agents, we've been used to saying what we do as listing agents because we are selling that service basically, and that's more. With buyer's agents, now, I don't think I have ever really touched it so much. It was more like, I know this area, tell me about you, I'm learning about them. A lot of them were referred to me, but in the beginning, it was more the company because years ago it was more a company than it is individual branding that it is now. And I think we really need to actually say what a buyer's agent does because a buyer's agent I went on ChatGPT yesterday. I'm a big fan. So I go on there and I said, listen, I want you to research the internet and tell me all the things that a buyer's agent does. And it comes back really quick with 12 things. I go, 12 things. I said, hardly, and I started to rattle off just on the first one that did. I said, you missed all the minutia with all this number one here, and there's hundreds. And then it redid it and it came back with 10. I said, you're going backwards here, buddy. And I said, what are your sources? And because I had them search the internet because I used ChatGPT 4. And they were blogs, 3 blogs, and it was actually acting defensive. And I'm like, oh, wow. If the internet and it doesn't have sources that I know that it could go search and it comes back with only blogs, then the public really doesn't know what we do.
Mhm.
And so I think that's our mission is from now till July, we have to explain our real value that we're out there. And for the ones that just open doors and barely do anything else, they'll dissipate. And that's okay because they probably were going to dissipate anyway. It's the ones who have grit, it's the ones that want to run this like a business that are
Business.
going to dive in and do it. And I think video is a very important tool. And I believe I have to forget what I look like and just go forward and do my best because I sit back. I don't know if you notice that I'm not as close to the camera as you because
No, I
I've
don't,
got a lot of age
pushing
spots
my
going.
back.
And
Well, you're beautiful and should you should be on camera all the time.
thanks. Well, believe me, the reels that they do, I'm like, girl, can't you back it up? Oh my God, I look like a leper out there. But anyway, I digress. The point is, it's irrelevant what we look like. It's what's the message? What's the
Mhm.
message? And if you're teaching people, they're eager. They're eager to learn, And if I'm out buying a house, I'm gonna start listening to somebody that's telling me what they do. They're also going to tell me what they know about the neighborhood or whatever. And I just had a woman call me. I haven't talked to her in 12 years. Now, she's a realtor and she's been watching a lot of my stuff and she's aging out in the industry and thinking, I don't know what I'm going to do with all these changes. And you just gotta pay attention, decide what it is that you want to do, and then market to the people, not just your skills. Talk about the what you actually do.
Yeah.
Because if they think if people think that they can do it on their own, good luck. And you can, but will you do an effective job for you? You want to know that what you're buying is great. Got an agent right now. She put in an offer that we're under contract on a $2 million house. They're only doing a little bit of inspections. The house is 17 years old. Me, I give my client when I'm a buyer's agent, here's my wish list. Here's every single inspection possible on this house. And here's a horror story for everyone you don't want to
Mhm.
do because you don't want to spend the money. It's your house. It's your benchmark. It's your choice. And I'm not going to make you feel bad. I'm just going to let you know. Here's all the realities that could go wrong, but wouldn't you feel safer? Isn't it worth it? If it's a $2 million house, don't you want to know everything about it? all the components, and they may or may not negotiate repairs, but at least now we got a benchmark.
Oh, I completely agree. Because we do more than 10 things. Like I brought in a
Hundreds.
contractor friend of mine who builds homes, and we looked at a house that my client was going to buy, and my friend said, do not buy this house. We
Mhm.
moved on, they bought another house, and now that house is worth over $1 million more than what they bought it for within
Wow.
4 or 5 years. So we save from a bad purchase to a good because it's all about this business is about networking.
Yep.
It's about knowing your craft and being an expert at it, knowing how to negotiate, and really knowing the right people to bring in at the right time.
Who's your
Because
crew?
those things can save you time and money, a lot of heartache later. It just sets you up. We're super proactive when we're listing. We like to find out everything that's going on with a building or a
Mhm.
property. There's things
Yep.
that are happening behind the scenes that some agents don't even know about until it's under contract. And then all of a
Right.
sudden, problem, it goes back on the market. And then once you put it back on the market, that's kind of the kiss of death. Maybe not so much in this market right now because everything is so busy and selling for
Yeah.
more. But there's so many times I talk to my clients and they're not aware of appraisal gap writers or escalation clauses or when to accept them, when not to accept them, and how that
Mhm.
can hurt them or benefit them. And these are the
Right.
things that we bring up and talk to our buyers about and our sellers about because
Yeah.
it's different depending on what side of the transaction you're on. The
Right.
attorney you hire makes such a difference. The
Yes.
lender you hire. We just closed a deal on Friday that took 5 hours to close because I represented the seller, but the buyer's lender was in California, and that lender did not know the rules here in Illinois about tax expiration or another document that they had to sign. It took forever to get that done. I represented the seller, not the buyer, but if I always try to recommend and refer my team, so it could be lenders that I've had really great success with over the
Right.
years, and a great attorney does pre-inspections, which I'm sure you,
Yep.
you do those too, because you're doing your inspections so thoroughly. And then having a qualified inspector too. That takes it,
Yeah.
unless you get super lucky up front, it takes years and years to develop all these people and resources and be able to share that with your clients with utter confidence.
Right. I tell my buyers and my sellers, I say, listen, I got a team, and you don't have to use this team. You can do whoever you want. I said, but these are seasoned people that we all know the nooks and crannies of how we work together. They're great service, they're fair priced, they're quality contractors, every single one from the lender or whatever. And you can do who you ever want. But when I have a buyer come to me and they'll say, I'm doing an online lender or out of state lender, I'm going to say, oh, you're killing me here. Because there's never been a time when I didn't have an issue with an out of state lender versus if you want to shop around here, okay, and I could give you a couple if you want, but I'm going to tell you we might have problems. I've never seen it not have problems. You can do whatever you want, but they've had nightmares with some of these lenders, just like you said.
Yeah,
Sometimes they
and
don't close.
right. And we don't want that to happen. I had that almost happen once, but it's a lot of networking and a lot of just, if you go out there and you get out there in this profession and you go to the award ceremonies, let's say, you go to different events that people are hosting and the associations are holding, you start to meet other agents and you start to do deals with these people and they start to get
Right.
to know you. And it's kind of the same 10% of people that are
Yeah.
doing most of the deals. There's a lot of realtors out there. I mean, I think in Illinois it's like 32,000. So it just went down into the 20s. And when we look at our stats, we're like so amazed because we're in like I think the first 200. And
Hmm.
that's a team. It's not all me, it's my team too. And you have to have a good team in place as well. I think the future is going towards teams. It's hard to do this if you want to make money, and especially with inflation, it's very hard to do
Mhm.
this on your own and have a life. Like if you want to, depending
Have a
on where
life.
you live, it's about 15 million or more a year. And that's a lot of real estate in some areas. We are in a median $400,000 price point here where I live on the northwest side of Chicago. A lot of city workers, tons of teachers, cops, and that's a good $400,000 or $500,000 median. Sales
Hmm.
where I live in Park Ridge, it's a little bit higher. And we do luxury properties and we go out. I mean, I have
Sure.
one for 2.5 right now, another
Hmm.
another one at for 2.2. So it just varies. You never say no. You always go where opportunity goes. That's what helped me a lot too, getting to this point in my career and
Sure.
building this team, is that you don't say no, you say yes. You have the grit to keep up with the yeses and do
Hmm.
whatever it takes to either let those yeses go at some point or keep moving forward with them. Because some of them can, sometimes it can be difficult. People, contractors or lenders or other referrals and recommendations, or even the house itself, right? Or the property itself can give you some trouble. So it's
Yeah.
just got to stay with it, know who to call, and be super solution driven. That's
Yes.
you get to keep going in this career, is by having solutions to people's problems. Figure out,
To-
call in your ideal client, figure out who your ideal client is, and work with those people who like you, get you, trust you,
Yep.
and think you're an expert, and then find out what's going on with them and create a solution to that to get them from point A to
Yeah.
point B. And not
Totally.
one can do that. And that's more about what's being a realtor, as being a broker is knowing about homes, knowing about the right people to bring in, knowing how to negotiate, what you should do, when you should do it. And so they can put money in the bank, move on to
Yeah.
their next chapter in their life.
I totally agree. Now, you mentioned that you're doing coaching. Is it within your own team or do outside coaching?
I was at Dreamtown. So I'll do,
Oh, okay.
Paul Degani is the owner of Dreamtown, and he's very forward thinking, very progressive. So he instituted some training and coaching maybe 7, 8 years ago, and then still has that going on in the company and does growth groups, a lot of
Good.
training. We have monthly meetings there too as a company, and we do mastermind classes. I taught classes there, 7 classes for 3 years. And so a lot of
Hmm.
the newer agents had to come to my classes and go through some new broker training.
Sure.
And I built
That's
my
great.
career. He helped me build my career that way too, because when I started teaching, I was able to say, like, they trust me enough to teach, right? They trust
Yes.
me enough to teach. So you could trust me enough to sell your home if they're trusting me enough to teach other people what I do. So I use that as part of my credentials too.
I would too. I would too.
Yeah.
So you said getting yourself out there and known in the industry about and being different. How would you say you set yourself apart, like from other agents in the Chicago area there?
I think that you said you read my story a little bit. When I first started, some people know this about me. A lot of people can talk about it maybe, or say, oh yeah, I know Nicole from this
Mm.
back when I was married to a policeman, and we have 3 kids together. They're older and gone through the school system and whatnot. So we've met a lot of people over the years. So I think what makes me different is that I do share that story. I've told
Mhm.
people through my business planning classes and some of my training, like, hey, listen, if I can do it, you guys can do it. I was
Right.
with no money, with 3 children, ended up just moving into I bought a house. My mom helped me with that. And at the time, because you had to have 2 years of consistent income as 1099. And this was
Hmm.
long ago when I first started, but I was getting divorced with 3 kids under 6. One at the time, ended up getting divorced when she was 2.5, and then 6 and 7.5. So they're little. And I
Mm.
had to work day and night. I did not sleep much, but I'd say for about 3 consistent years, I collected data on what I should be doing as a realtor, how I should be doing it, the best ways to do it, creating systems, knowing that, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this on my own. This is crazy.
Hmm.
I can't do this on my own. I don't want to do this. I'll have no life. And then slowly building that team and getting to a point where I could hire people. So now what makes us different, I think, is just having that grit from having to do that before,
Yeah.
and knowing like, okay, my realtor kind of went through a hard time and got through it, and now has grown her business through that because she had a hustle. She was hungry. So
Hmm.
she probably knows more than, you know, some people in the industry, just because of time, right?
Yes.
Experience.
Yes.
And we try to set ourselves apart with our systems and our concierge service and our knowledge and expertise and our team as a whole. We
Yes.
bring people in that have different niches and
Hmm.
can all help each other.
Oh, I
So,
think that's a great idea.
so we set ourselves apart that way, and we're continuing to do that now. I
Hmm.
ended up partnering with a guy that's been on my team, Mario Bongiorno, for almost 4 years now. So we're going to end up partnering, putting our names together and making
Hmm.
a big push and getting out there. And I know everything's changing and we're going to put our names out there and kind of have that be a little bit of a distraction for us and keeping us moving forward.
I think
And
that's smart.
yeah, and just change it up. And I said to him yesterday, this is probably the perfect time to do this. But
It
you
is
have
the
to work up on it, work up to it. It can't just happen. You have to
yeah.
work to it because if it just happens, sometimes it doesn't stick.
Hmm.
And we both
Yeah, I
want it to
agree.
stick. Yeah, we both want it to stick. So we're just trying to increase like the systems, the procedures, our systems, having an easier time for our assistant and our team members and bring in more leads and create a full service, like one-stop shop for our clients.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I'm known here as Kathy's got a guy. I do these send out cards and I will feature a person that I trust every single month. And it goes out to my database of the ones that I know I'm going to continue to do business with, not my entire database. But I send this out. So the front of it says, I got a guy. And on the inside, I feature their logo, their web address, and a little blurb that they say about themselves on there. And on the right hand side, I go, hey, this is my monthly I got a guy card that I send out featuring someone I know and trust that I wanted to share with you. And if you don't need them, maybe you need, someone who does. And this isn't someone that you need, but you need something else. I got a guy. And if I don't have a guy, I know a guy that's got a guy. And a little bio on the back. And then the back is all about my branding on the back, right? The phone number is always on the inside, right? And I send those out once a month.
Oh,
And they are great. And people think of me, Kathy's got a guy. We get people to call off those cards, not necessarily to buy a house, but they'll say, hey, do you have a roofer? Do you have this? They're past clients of mine. They share the cards. I even send them to other realtors that I'm hoping will come over to my company with me. And I do it so they can see things like that are powerful. It's helped me through the years. Matter of fact, I got a $5 million listing from a woman I've been working on for 12 years because she bought this house in foreclosure. It was around 3.4 million when she bought it. Beautiful monster house on the water. And she had a little bead business in the local town. And I had bought a Groupon to go make a necklace at her thing. And she taught a one-on-one class with me. She was telling me about her house, and I go, that house, I live right around the corner in a very small rental. And we started talking, and she said, well, I'm going to be doing a little show, or she was advertising something that weekend. I said, let me promote it. And so I started promoting her stuff for years and years and years. And on this one Facebook group called 365 Things to Do around Lake Norman, because that's our lake. So I just created that group. I've got 15,000 people in there over the years, and I'm always updating it. I don't do anything about me in there. I'm always promoting somebody else. And through the years, she would call me up because she would get that I got a guy card, and she would say, hey, my son wants to buy a house. Can you help me with that? Sure. My sister wants to buy a house. Can you help me with that? Sure. So it'd be little houses here and there. And then one day they called up and said, we're selling the big one. I'm like, "Sure. This is the one I've been waiting for." And I got that listing. I sold it in 11 days. So excited.
wow,
That
that's
was,
amazing. And I was just saying this to Mario on my team yesterday. Or actually today, I think it was this morning. The littlest things, like I was going to buy a dog, and then I decided not to buy that dog. And she said, "Hey, can you help me find a property?" And now I'm the agent for all their rentals. They own 80 properties, and I'm doing that for them. So it's just sometimes when you least expect it.
but it's about being out there, and it's not
Mhm.
being invisible. Like I don't wear a little badge all the time. Everyone knows that I'm a realtor. I don't keep that a secret. And it's not like, hey, can I sell your house? It's like just start a conversation. Well, I'm a realtor, I hear something that I told one of my clients, tell a story. It's nothing about pitching them ever. I've just shown them what I do, and they just kind of I get connected with them on Facebook or wherever. I want to build the relationships because it's a relationship business.
Right. I always say that it's networking relationship and
Yeah,
just being who you are. And this is a business too that we can all take what we're really good at and what we're really just maybe
passionate.
creative parts of us and
Yep.
put it into this business.
Yes, your
Because you're
business
doing the
can be run
podcast.
completely different than mine, right? Yet, as long as we have our systems and we're consistently taking care of our clients, we know our industry, we're working it, it's all good.
Yeah, and it keeps people interested, educated, and knowing that we're in it every day, that we're in
Yes.
business every day and knowing the up and what's going on. When
Yeah.
somebody asks you, what's the market like? You can say, well, it depends where you're at and what situation you're in, and if you're seller or buyer, not just like, oh my God, the rates are so high, and now this NAR thing and this and that. No, there's much more to it than that. And
Yeah.
every year it's something new. And every
Yeah.
year we have to go back to, oh my gosh, got to replicate that again and do a little bit better this year and
Yeah.
figure out how to do that. And it's if you keep doing that with the grit, like you're talking about, you will be successful. There is no doubt. But
No
you
doubt.
got to do the work. You got to
Yeah.
have the action there and do the work. I mean, I spent hours and hours and hours in the middle of the night just trying to learn as much as possible. And I did a lot of coaching. I hired coaches to help me, real estate
Smart.
coaches
Smart.
and personal coaches too. I think my
Yeah.
first personal coach I hired off of a credit card when I really couldn't afford it to get me through my divorce because I
Sure.
didn't know what to do or how to do it, where to do it, or if I was even doing the right thing with 3 little kids. So
Sure.
I had to hire somebody to do that. And I took the risk of spending money I didn't have at that time to get that kind of help because I said, I don't know what I don't know. And I'm going to
Right.
need to pay somebody to figure that out so I can do
Yeah.
better. So I can do
That was
better later.
that
And I
was
can
really wise.
continue with that philosophy of if I don't know how to do things, I need to get and enlist the help of others. And
Hmm.
most of the time you have to pay for that. And you're
You
paying for
want,
it because they know what you don't know and they're going to help you get there faster, right?
yeah.
Same
Right.
with realtors, same with brokers. That's what we
Right.
do. You don't want to bother with it. We will do it for you and we will do it efficiently, effectively, and put money in your pocket and you'll have a great experience. And sometimes find you houses that you normally wouldn't be able to find.
Yeah.
And I
Absolutely.
think people forget that too. They forget
Yeah.
that part of it.
Nicole, thank you so much. This has been wonderful getting to know you and learning some nuggets from you. And we're going to have your information as links below so people can reach out to you in Chicago and you can reach out to me here in North Carolina. And again, thank you so much for being on here and sharing your truth.
Thank you, Kathy. I appreciate it. It's been a pleasure.
So thanks for joining me on this episode of Real Estate Riches. Wasn't that great? I'm sure you got a nugget or two. I know I did. So if you liked it, please subscribe below, share it with everybody, make some comments. We really find that invaluable. And if you're thinking that you would love to talk about this a little bit more, let's schedule a business strategy call. I'll have the link below. Let's see if we can't mastermind together and see if we can empower each other. That would be great. So until next time, signing off. Hope to see you on the next one.